Welcome to Genebra's Risk. Let's start by adding a new risk management. Risk management has several steps that are separated by different processes. So my first step here is to register a process in the parameterization screen. Here is where I'll select an organizational unit to identify the branch or headquarters of your company and what process you want to register. Each process you add here will be specific to the organizational unit you defined. On the right side here, you will identify who is responsible for each process you register at that specific organizational unit. You will then select your risk analysis model, synthetic or parameterized. The risk analysis is also called risk appetite, and it consists of the definition of rules for risk treatment. In the risk appetite configuration is where you will set up your rules for risk treatment. The responsible user will then define the setup in terms of probability and impact, and consequently, the suggested risk treatment, such as avoid, mitigate, or monitor. So let's say that the probability of an event happening is high, and the impact of that same event is also high. So what should you do? Avoid it, mitigate it, or monitor that event. Remember that in risk management, all risks being evaluated are potential risks, and the suggested treatment is regard avoiding, mitigating, or monitoring actions in order to prevent the event from happening. You can choose your suggested treatment through the graph on the side also by clicking on it. After the risk analysis setup, you may choose an action plan model that can either be 3W or 5W to H. You can then click Next. Now you have to inform who is responsible for each stage of risk management. In this step, you will delegate responsibility to specific users for each stage described here. You should also inform a due date for certain steps. Click on Next to continue. You will then start with risk identification, which is the step where you will register events. Select whether the source is internal or external. A code is generated, and now you have to write the event. Example, fire. Now what is the risk that this event can bring? Describe them here. Life losses, material losses, damages, and etc. You can describe as many as you want here. What you do have to do now is think whether this event, in this case fire, will have a positive effect. Not all events like this one will bring opportunities to your company, hence why this is not a required field to fill out. If you do fill out this field though, there will be extra steps during the risk management process where you will have to manage the opportunities you have described here. You are now at the event screen. If you want to register another event, simply click on the Register Event on the top right corner. Make sure the events you register are potential events that could happen and not routine events or activities. Although you can add routine activities here to manage, the main goal of risk management is to treat potential risks so you can work on preventive actions and not corrective actions. The next step is to evaluate and analyze each event you added. So here you will put what is the probability of the event happening and what would be the impact if it did happen. The risk evaluation will automatically appear. The treatment goes according to the first setup you did in the heat map. This evaluation will help you develop preventive measures for risk management. Once you get to the risk management step, you will be able to elaborate, justify, or transfer the treatment. This tool allows you to justify and not treat the risk. However, the best decision here will be to elaborate the treatment. When you were setting up your risk, you had chosen an action plan model, and now you can see that model here and fill out the required fields. So it is the time for you to write a preventive action plan, decide who is going to apply it, and when it is going to take place. Once you are done, you can save it and go to the next step. Let me remind you that you could have transferred the responsibility to another person, or you could have just justified your risk and not treated it also. The next step is to monitor and implement the action plan you have just created. First, you must present evidence that the preventive action has been implemented. Here you are also able to attach a file as evidence as well. Once this part is concluded, the responsible for monitoring the action will be able to see what has been implemented and close the action. We now have to evaluate the effectiveness of the action implemented. The responsible for this step will have to evaluate the probability and impact of a risk after the action was implemented. The user can then say if the action was effective or ineffective based on the analysis made. This is then closed and saved in the system. You can access the risk on the search menu on the top toolbar. You can also utilize the heat map option to better visualize the risks and where they stand on the map. And this was a quick tour of our risk management tool. Don't forget to check out the rest of the Genebra suite as you experience our software. Thank you for watching.